welcome you to our live streaming, and what a wonderful time that we're going to have with the Word of God. And thank you for being with us. We know that those of you are coming from your busy schedule from work. You have to rush over just to be able to watch, or maybe you have to eat your dinner. But anyway, we are here, and thank you for allowing us into your life, to your home. And this is being a Friday, our not only a Bible study but also our prayer time. So we had our time of prayer earlier. We adjusted the time so that more would be able to join us. So we are praying. We are a church that considers a prayer a very important ministry. And we pray from all aspects that you send us your prayer list, and we do bring it to the Lord. So again, we would like to greet some special people who I was reading earlier. For this week, we would like to greet Lance De Lemos, happy birthday. Karina Castellanos, happy birthday also. Max De Leon, Nicole Salimbangan, Faye Kasay Atkins, happy birthday. Niman De La Fuente, happy birthday for all the celebrants and for wedding anniversaries. Do you know that we have yesterday and today two couples that celebrated their anniversary. First is yesterday, Brother Bong, Renato and Amy de Guzman, happy anniversary to you, and may the Lord continue to bless you. I think it's their 27th anniversary. Is that right? And then today is the anniversary of Irene and Jen. Thank you for being with us. Irene and Jen, happy anniversary. And may you all continue to be sweet and follow the Lord and love the Lord with all your heart. These are very wonderful people who serve God in the ministry of our church. So thank you. Just a joy to have you in our church, okay? So now, in our study of the parable, there are three parables of the Lord Jesus Christ that concerns, for example, the parable of the pounds, the parable of the talent, and the parable of the Lord's vineyard. Talks about the three different aspects of serving God or serving the Lord. And today or tonight we are going to have a study on the vineyard, the Lord's vineyard, because all of these are very important in such a way that we should understand. When serving the Lord, you should have this right perspective of being a servant and what it entails to serve the Lord. So for tonight, we will read our text, and it is found in Matthew chapter 20. Matthew chapter 20, and we'll start with the verse 1. All right? First of all, for the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire laborers for his vineyard. Now, when he had agreed with the laborers for a denarius a day, so there was an agreement, there was a contract, they shook their hand, okay, and the first workers will be given a denarius for the whole days of work. So he sent them into his vineyard. And the Bible said, and he went out again the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace. And he said to them, you also go into the vineyard, and whatever is right, I will give you. So they went. Now remember the difference. On the first workers, on the first hour, there was a contract. They had an agreement. Okay, that's very important in this message. They agreed for 1 denarius a day. Now here in the second batch, on the third hour, there was no contract. There was no agreement. He just said, Go and work. Whatever is needed, I'll do what is right. I will do what is right to give you. And then, again, the parable said he went about the 6th, and then again on the 9th hour, and did likewise. And about the 11th hour, he went out and found others standing idle, and said to them, "Why have you been standing here idle all day?" Now we'll stop with that because that is the intro to our subject right now. Now, for us to understand, the Jews have, their morning is set at 12 hours. And then the rest, evening is another 12 hours. So for us to understand what it means, when the landowner went on the first hour, it talks about 6 o'clock in the morning. That's when the Jewish workers start their job. And then the 3rd hour speaks about 9 in the morning. And then the 6th hour, which is our noon. The 9th hour, which is 3 p.m. And the 12th hour of the morning workday of the Jews, the 12th hour speaks about 6 p.m. That's a 12 hour. That's their morning shift. Now, so this landowner, 5 times he hired workers. All right? And then on the 5th or the last set of workers, it says here on the 11th hour, he went out again and hired workers. The 11th hour is around 5 to 6 p.m. So they will only be working 1 hour. So that's how our parable, the Lord's parable goes. First of all, the landowner here speaks about the Lord, God. Okay? And the worker speaks about the saved people who, it pictures the saved, the Christians who are chosen, who are elected to do the work in the Lord's vineyard. They're commissioned, they're appointed for the Lord's work. This parable doesn't talk about how to get salvation. This parable talks about your rewards, or what God will do when you choose to follow Him and serve Him. Now, this is what John 15 says. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit. When you see the word chosen or chose or elected in the Bible, which is the same word origin, it doesn't speak about being chosen for salvation or being elected. It doesn't mean that God chose some to be saved and chose some not to be saved. It always speaks about service. It always speaks about service. Here, it says here, I chose you and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit. And the rest with the whole New Testament, when the Bible said, even Old Testament, chose or elect, it's to do something for God. And that your fruit should remain. And whatever you ask the Father in my name, He may give you. So to fully understand what this parable means, you need to understand the background. You need to understand the context or the narrative, why the Lord just gave this parable of the Lord's vineyard. You have to go to, we're studying Matthew 20, you have to go back to Matthew 19, the preceding chapter. On the last part, there was a discussion. Remember about the rich man who doesn't want to let go of his wealth in order to follow Jesus? And then, the Bible said, Peter answered and said, right after that, Lord, see, we have left all and followed you. Therefore, what shall we have? Jesus said to them, assuredly I say to you, in the regeneration, when the Son of Man sits on the throne of His glory, in the end of times, and finally when Jesus is sitting on the throne of God's glory, of His glory, you who have followed, you who have chosen, you who have decided to not just get saved, but follow me in the service. The Bible said, and everyone who has left houses or brothers or sisters and lands for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold and inherit eternal life. But many who are first will be last, and the last shall be first. And then he gave the parable. So you see, it's in answer to Peter's question, Lord, what shall those who follow and serve you receive? All right? And Jesus said, I will tell you a parable. There's a landowner who hired workers to harvest in his vineyard. That's the start of it. So here I want to share with you about the vineyard of the Lord. As I said, the landowner is God, the Lord, and the vineyard is the whole kingdom of heaven. That's why he started with the parable, and the kingdom of heaven is like this. It speaks about the mission field, the area where we can, where we should, and when we are called to share the gospel and to be witnesses. That's the vineyard of the Lord, the whole world, okay? The kingdom of heaven, as we may call it. Now, what can we understand regarding this parable? First, I'd like you to see the size of the vineyard. The size of the vineyard. You will know that the vineyard of the landowner is so vast, so huge. You know why? Because he hired servants, harvesters, several times, and it's not just one worker per assignment. He hired laborers on the first hour, then group of laborers on the third hour, then the same with the 6th hour and the 9th hour and the 11th hour. These are groups of people. That means if you hire that number of people, it means the size of the vineyard must be very, very huge, right? So if it speaks about the world, it just reminds us there is a vast number of people that still needed to hear the gospel. It speaks about reaching out to those that have not heard the gospel. That is our vineyard. That is the Lord's vineyard. That is where the harvest is needed. And believe me, the vineyard is so vast. I'd like to share with you what some missiologies and mission groups have shared, and you can find this online. There is what we call the 1040 window. Many missionaries share this, and it speaks about the unreached people group in that 1040 window. And if you look at your map, this is where the 1040 window is. It speaks about the 10 degrees and 40 degrees of the equator, north of the equator, where 5.11 billion people and 8,717 distinct ethnic groups still need to hear the gospel. Majority of them haven't even, know how it is to be saved. What Jesus' death on the cross means for them. They are still the unreached people group. So 5.11 people, folks, that's a lot of souls that need to be saved. These are basically even big swath of area where Christians are being persecuted. They consider the Christians who share the gospel as proselyters, and that's illegal. They have this doctrine in their land, anti-conversion law, meaning you cannot convert any of them to your faith. So it's against the law. They put you in jail. Even if you carry the Bible, they will put you in jail. So this is the 1040 window, a vast field. And there's this another group of people that need to be reached, and it's called the 414 window. And this speaks about the children ages 4 to 14. these are the ages that are most receptive to the gospel. We have this ministry that we have in our church, and I am a part of the board of the crossover ministry, one of those many ministries trying to reach these children at this age. So Romy and Kay is our missionary there, and they teach the children. We give them basketball and use it like a for spiritual law, and then children even could share the gospel even to their fellow children. These ages, is 4 to 14, is very receptive to the gospel. Yet, many churches are not focusing on them. Many missions are not focusing on them. These children is like a big people group. 2/3. Do you know that 2/3 of the world's population is under the age of 18? And do you know that 1/2 of the earth's population is under the age 20? These children ages 4 to 14 are being used as child soldiers in many countries under that 1040 window. They are the most exploited, the most abused group of people. They are the most, taken advantage of. So, this just shows that the vineyard of the Lord is so huge, we need more workers. And that's where we go to the second point. Because the work is great, and because the number of people that need to be reached for the harvest of souls is so huge, that we need workers in the vineyard. And that's what we see here in this parable. 5 times the landowner has to go out just to get more workers. Wanted more laborers. Here in America right now, we have a crisis. Indeed, it became a crisis. And the crisis is that we have shortages of laborers. We have shortage of workers. Restaurants, businesses, they are in dire need. Like, I don't know why, even the sociologists, they cannot fully pinpoint why it's so difficult to get laborers for their businesses and restaurants, and even our, what do you call that, the container vans. There are 100 container ship outside of our San Pedro area, Los Angeles area, because there are not enough workers to get the containers, to land, and then from land, not enough drivers to drive the trucks, and then not enough storage, not enough people working. That's all. There's a shortage. And you can compare that to what is needed in the Lord's kingdom. There is a manpower shortage in the kingdom of heaven. I think this is why the parable talks about, hey, we need workers for the kingdom. When the Lord called me into the ministry, the verse that spoke to me that the Lord used is found in Luke chapter 10, verse 2. Then he said to them, Jesus said to them, the harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few. Therefore pray the Lord of the harvest, so that he would send out laborers into his harvest. And that was what, almost 39 years ago. Still, there is a big shortage of workers. I see churches without pastors. I see this big vacancy. So many churches, their search committee for pastors have been frustrated because it's so difficult to look for workers. Mission offices, seeking for missionaries to go to their field. It's so hard. And I'd just like to share with you these statistics. Some statistics said that 1,500 ministers leave the ministry each month. Now again, it doesn't mean 1,500 pastors. It just said 1,500 ministers, meaning choir director who leave the ministry, Sunday school teachers who leave their work. Any people who minister to souls and who ministers in the church of God, in the body of Christ, 1,500 leave ministry each month. I see missionaries just going home being frustrated because no one's supporting them. They cannot survive in the mission field. But some people will say, I can go to the ministry if there's just enough salary, if there's just enough income. I have a family, which of course is understandable. But God said, pray ye the Lord of the harvest, that he may send laborers. For the harvest is plenteous. But he did not say the logistics are few. He just said the laborers are few. There's no problem with logistics, money, salary. It's just your heart. It's just your heart. Go in as a laborer and don't make a problem of logistics. The landowner knows. This is a parable. The landowner knows how to support you. The landowners will do right. God will do right. 1,300 ministers are terminated. Terminated by the church each month. Again, not only pastors, not only missionaries, whatever workers are terminated. So, you may say, well, pastor, anyway, the Bible schools are, training replacement for these pastors. You know what the statistics say? 80% of seminary and Bible school graduates who enter the ministry will leave the ministry within the first 5 years. There you go. Shortage of laborers. The field is so vast. There's so many areas of work that you can go through. Children, preaching, teaching, reaching out to your neighborhood, humanitarian, evangelical humanitarian service. Actually, the ministers, the workers can use any means possible to share the gospel. So, it's vast. We need more laborers. And not only that, there is a reason why the landowner has to really rush into, hiring more laborers. You know why? Because the time is very limited. If you have a big vineyard, you see, someone said this, okay? In Palestine, the grape harvest ripens toward the end of September. So, from the end of September to around this time in October, then the harvest is there. The grapes are ripe for harvest until the rain comes. And when the rain comes, if the harvest is not gathered, then all the potential harvest will be ruined. So no wonder the landowner did as much as he can, because he knows that time is limited. There is a rush. There is an urgency. There is the urgency in the harvest. It's a race against time. And I believe, as a believer, as a Christian, and as we witness to the world around us, we are in a race against time. When people started dying, when this pandemic started, we are in a race against time. Because you're talking to one person today and then suddenly tomorrow he might be dead. So time is of the essence. So we need to share the Word of God, and sometimes it's too late. God knows. He is sovereign. He knows the heart of people. But we as servants of the Lord must have this urgency. Make haste. If you're going to share the gospel, make haste. Share it immediately, because life is short. Life is short. Life is like a mist. Life is like a shadow. Life is like a flower that's fresh for a while and then dried the following hour. Life is so short. No wonder we need the workers in the vineyard. And if you know that you have a gift that you want to use for the Lord, you have a spiritual gift, a talent, a skill that you can use for the kingdom of heaven, kingdom of God, please use it. We need everyone that can answer that call, not only for pastors and missionaries, but for all area of ministry. There is an urgency. But again, there's what you call the dangers in the vineyard. The dangers in the vineyard. So now, the end of the day has come. During that time, in those times, you do not wait for a week or 15 days or a month to get your salary. Many people during the time are very poor. They need that day's wage to buy something for the food for their family. So at the end of the day, they must receive their wages. So this is what happened. The Lord called those that work for 1 hour. And then they were given a full day's wage, a denarius. And the same for those who work the 9th hour, the 6th hour, and the 3rd hour. Now remember, they don't have a contract. They didn't have an agreement. The Lord, the landowner, just said, I'll do what is right. Just serve. Just do the harvest. But on the one he hired on the 1st hour, remember? They had an agreement. They had a contract. Work for me and I'll give you 1 denarius, which is equivalent to a day's wage. So this is what happened in verse 10. So when they saw that those that work for 1 hour, those that work for 3 hours, those that work for 6 hours were given 1 denarius, they are saying to themselves, I'm sure we'll receive a lot more because we work for 12 hours. So when they first came, they had this expectation that they would receive more. But the landowner gave them a denarius. And when they had received it, they complained. Now notice that word. They complained against the landowner, saying, this last man have worked only 1 hour, and you made them equal to us, who have borne the burden and the heat of the day. We worked the whole day, and we received the same amount with what you gave to those that worked for 1 hour. Now remember, they agreed to that amount as a contract. They probably shook their hand, the landowner, and they were probably the one who gave that amount. Because our text said in verse 1 of chapter Matthew 20, and the landowner agreed with them. That means, that's what you asked. I gave you what you asked for. It's a contract. But they complained. And I believe that's a danger, even among people who work in God's vineyard. There's some attitudes, some things we need to avoid. And one of that is murmuring. Some version called the complaining murmured. They had this gripe, in their heart about what's happening here. How come we worked the whole day and we received the same amount? Well, number one, we must understand this. The Lord always right. The Lord never mistaken. And in the field, there are so many murmuring going around. They look at one ministry and they look at one work and say, why did God bless? They just started a year ago and they already have a building. They already have 1,000 members. And I've been working 10 years or 30 years and we only have 30 members, so complaining. How come the Lord gave them a lot and a building immediately? Well, we've been praying for 20 years now and we haven't received anything yet. We're still renting. We're still, in this small place. And so there's a lot of complaining. And hey, that's just a new believer. How come it was promoted ahead of me? Hey, how come that so many complaining. And another problem with Christianity, jealousy and envy. And that's what happened here. They're jealous and envious with the people who just work 1 hour and receive a day's denarius, a day's wage. And again, that's what I'm saying here. Even Christian workers have a tendency to be envious, that green-eyed monster, as we call it, and to be jealous of what some Christians are receiving from God, and they compare it to what they're receiving, and they are jealous of them. And the next problem is, of course, you begin to criticize them. And that's what they did. Okay? They criticized those other workers. So we see this problem in the vineyard. And then there's idleness. Okay? Jesus asked the other group, why are you idle there? Go and work. And I believe part of the reason is that these first hour workers, when they saw that, we are receiving more help in the vineyard, so they probably are also idle because let others do it. And I believe in the Christian circle, even in the Christian church, that's what other Christians feel. Somebody's already doing it, let's just sit down here, let them do the work. See what's happening? And then you become idle. You see other people, it's already occupied, the choir is filled, the chorale is filled, there's no more enough instruments to play, so I'll just sit here and, even if I have a gift for music, and then you become idle. Even if you know so much about the Bible, you become idle. Even if you know so much about Christianity and you memorize all scriptures, but you are idle in the vineyard. That's the danger. And the next and most important is distrust. They felt that, hey, this landowner must be doing something wrong, and so they lost their trust in the landowner. What's happening here? No, that's why they complained. They murmured because they know it's something fishy going on here. You see, when you lose your trust on your master, things began to tumble down quickly. And that is what happened here. They complained to the landowner. And so, the last point I want to share with you is the assurance in the vineyard. The assurance came from the landowner. When the first hour workers who agreed with what they'll receive are complaining and murmuring and bickering and things like that, then I want you to hear what the landowner said. First in verse 7. Notice verse 7. They said to him, because no one hired us. And he said to them, go into the vineyard, and whatever is right, you will receive. Okay? These are for the following set of workers. And then in verse 15, he answered this way to those that are complaining. He said, is it not lawful for me to do what I wish in my own things? Or is your eye evil because I am good? I didn't do anything wrong. You see what you thought was a problem because your eyes are evil. There's not anything wrong with me, the landowner said. There's something wrong with how you see things. All right? And then, in that way, the landowner is saying this to them. The landowner said, okay, don't worry, I will do what is right. And in the same way, when God does something that you don't agree with, you complain because you have been serving the Lord all this time, and then you get sick, you got COVID, or your loved ones passes away, and you say, is it right? Is it worth it serving you? Look what happened to my family. Look what happened to my business. Look what happened to me. But you must understand the assurance of the landowner. He said, work for me, and I will do what is right. You know why God is called a righteous God? Because everything He does is right. That's His attribute. That's who He is. And that is signified by the landowner when he said, just serve. Don't worry about anything because I will do what is right. And then the landowner also said, not only will I do what is right, I will do what is just. That's why he said, I didn't do anything unlawful. We had a contract. You agreed. I gave you 1 denarius. Does that make me unlawful? You see, God is a just God. Not only is He righteous, but He will do everything that is just. If anything happens to us, the Bible said, in everything give thanks, because this is the will of God concerning us. Because He is a just God. You have to trust His heart. That whatever is happening in the world, you see people dying, children dying, killing everywhere. And why does God allow it? Why doesn't God do anything at all? Whether God does something or not, you must understand, He will do what is right. He will do what is just. And finally, the landowner will do what he wants. Is it lawful? Is it unlawful for me to do what I wish? Meaning, he has the right to do what he wants regarding his vineyard. If he decides not to hire any one of them the following day, that's his right. If he decides to stop the work at noon, half day, and because for whatever reason, then he has the right to do that. He could say, okay, here's the amount, just go. I don't want you to finish the whole day. He doesn't have to explain. You see, many times this is the fault of the Christians. We always want God's explanation. We always want God to explain, why did you took my loved one? Why did my business fall? Why did my church not grow? Why does other churches grow? We always want God to explain. He doesn't have to explain. He can do what He wants because He is God. He rules in the affairs of man. He is sovereign in every decree, decision that He makes. That is what we need to understand. The landowner is right, he is just, and he can do what he wants. If you learn to accept that, then there's no reason to complain and be jealous and be envious. There's no reason to distrust God. Friends, brothers and sisters in the Lord, we are in the big work here, man. The vineyard of the Lord is so vast. We barely touch the surface. Please trust the Lord. Trust the Lord that He will do right. Leave the rewarding to Him. Just do what you should be doing for the kingdom of God. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you. And see you next Sunday, or this coming Sunday, for our live stream. God bless.